Welcome in. I promise not to keep you here long. This is a clear and repeatable roadmap that you can use to go from being stuck, confused, not knowing what to do, what to post, what to say, to growing and scaling your brand to 5, 6 figures and beyond. All right. Really quick before we get into that, if you don't know who I am, my name is Marvell. I help creators and entrepreneurs build out content systems that help them print money using social media and content, even if they don't feel like they're creative, even if they have a 9 to 5, even if they suck at the tech or they just have no idea what they're trying to do out here. This is going to show you how regular people, not influencers, not celebrities, regular people with 9 to 5s, with real jobs, real families are growing real brands and starting to generate consistent income online. The exact same way one of my clients was able to do. So one of the biggest problems out here is that there are a lot of people who are super talented, super creative, super passionate, super driven, but they don't know how to package it. They don't know how to deliver it. They don't know how to set up the system. They don't know how to put it together and present it in a way that's going to get people to buy. And because they don't, a lot of them are focused on either trying to get lucky or trying to chase a viral moment. You get stuck just trying to chase what everybody else is doing. The algorithm's not working for you. Your content not getting shown to people. There are a bunch of people who are kind of just stuck in that boat. And the great thing is that you don't have to be. That's exactly what Aaron was able to help prove. We put together a framework that I'm going to share with you in just a second. It helped turn him from a 9 to 5 entrepreneur, a teacher with a bunch of different side hustles, trying to figure out how to bring in some extra income, into a 6-figure, potentially 7-figure brand owner with different revenue streams coming in. He didn't have to create the cringy content. He didn't have to do the dances if he didn't want to. He did do some of them, but he liked doing them. He was able to follow a strategy and he kept showing up. And I'm gonna show you exactly what that looks like, because it's not about working harder. It's about building a system that allows you to relax and breathe and be able to approach this from a strategic and creative and passionate way, right? So Aaron, he had already been using social media, but he had just kind of started using it for his business. He was just starting to see what everybody else was doing or recognize that you can use social media to grow a business. He had already been baking cakes and he wanted to take his business online. He already had Instagram and he was posting some content, but he didn't have a real strategy or like plan in place for how he was going to monetize. A lot of it was kind of just posting, putting stuff out there, and then just hoping people were going to come in and sell themselves. Basically, he had the talent, he had the drive, he had the passion. He just didn't have the guidance. So if you've been in this content game for any extended amount of time, you may feel like, yo, I'm talented. I have something inside of me where you have like a bunch of different ideas. Like if I could just figure out how to execute and put these into play, I know this will work. I know this would be amazing. You might be posting content already. You might have tried posting content and didn't really see success with it. You put a couple things out and you might have had one that did really well. You might have posted a TikTok and was like, oh, I went viral, but then like your next 10 videos, they kind of just fell flat. And you was like, what happened? You tried YouTube and your videos did 10 views and 5 views and 6 views and you stayed at 22 subscribers for like 7 months straight, right? You're posting. They say you got to put the content out, but you put the content out and it's not working. It's not getting you the results that they said it would, right? A lot of times this will lead to you feeling stuck. You feel like, what do I do? Like I've bought the course, I've worked with the coach. They took my money, didn't give me a refund. This didn't really help me. I didn't understand what they were talking about. Like, I don't know what to do. I don't know where to go. I feel like giving up and just saying all this, right? It gets frustrating, especially when you don't understand the tech. You don't know what apps you're supposed to be using, what software you're supposed to be using. Oh, what do I need? This camera? Do I need this ring light? Is this tripod okay? There's so much and it can be very, very overwhelming, right? For a lot of people, what they do when they get overwhelmed or where they feel lost or stuck, they start trying to figure things out. They start trying to piece things together. They start looking at TikTok. They start looking at YouTube. They start looking at Instagram. Call that TIY University. TikTok, Instagram, YouTube. There is a lot of good information, valuable information. There's full courses, ebooks, guides, masterclasses, webinars. There's a lot of stuff out there. The problem is that there's a lot of stuff out there and you don't know how to connect everything. They said I should do this and they said try ads, but the ads didn't work. They said I just need to post, telling you all this different stuff. For some reason, everybody else figured it out though. They figured it out. They just started their brand. They started way after you and they already figured it out. Like what is going on? Why is this not working for me? Why can I not figure this out, right? This usually ends up being the breaking point for most creators. This is where a lot of people quit or pivot and they kind of restart the process. And what they don't really realize is that once you quit and pivot and you go from like Amazon to drop shipping or to going live, all you're doing is just kind of like resetting a cycle of you not understanding how a system works. And then you're eventually going to get to that point again where you need to have a system, you need to have an understanding of what to do next, and you don't. So you're just going to quit and keep going to something else. Or you're just going to be like, I'm done. I'm going back to get a 9 to 5. That's usually what happens. I don't want that for you. So here's the system. I want y'all to walk away with a lot of value and a lot of actionable information that you can take from this. This is the framework that changed everything. And this is what I've been mastering and working on and really piecing together for the past almost 5 years or so. I call that 3 C's. It's clarity, content, cash flow. The clarity is going to give you direction. A lot of people, they don't even know where to go because there's so much to do, so many things you can try. So you start with the clarity. Once we can get the clarity, we can focus on the content, because if you don't have anybody who's seeing your content, the products that you're creating, the different ideas that you have, if you don't have anybody that can see them, it doesn't really help to have them. If a tree falls in the forest and nobody's around, who the fuck cares? The content tends to be a very big roadblock for a lot of people, whether that's not knowing what to say, not wanting to be on camera, not knowing what kind of content to create, not knowing how to do the editing, what platforms to use. But once we're able to get clarity on what content you're going to be creating, what your audience is going to enjoy, what that looks like for you, it allows you to show up. And once you can show up, it just becomes about tweaking everything to make sure it's effective and doing its job, right? And then the last C is for cash flow. Well, there's actually a bonus C, but I'll get to that in a second. Cash flow. Cash flow is going to allow you to start making money, because once you start making money, then you stop living from a place of survival. You're not worried about bills. If you don't want to work the second job, if you don't want to work the extra hours, if you don't want to do the overtime, you're able to buy back your time, essentially. You're able to buy back pieces of your peace and your freedom from your job or your 9 to 5 or being stressed or being in debt. Like, you're able to buy back that part of your life, right? And as you do that, that will unlock more creativity, more freedom, more inspiration. And it just becomes a snowball effect. So I do want to go a little bit more in depth on each one, just to make sure I'm not just giving y'all, okay, here's how you got to do it, I'll figure it out. I want y'all to take a lot of value and a lot of clarity from this. Even if you don't decide to work with me, if you never decide to watch any of my content again, at the very least, I want you to say you walked away from this video with something that was more valuable than the last 10 videos you watched. All right. So first C is clarity. The reason we start with clarity is because if you can't see the trees from the forest, if you hop in the car and there's a layer of fog 1 inch from your car everywhere around you, and you start trying to drive, you're going to crash. You're going to crash the car. You're going to run into something. You're going to end up in the ditch. You want to have as much clarity as possible when it comes to this. Now, this isn't something you should stress about, but you do want to make it a priority. And what I mean when I say that is that where you want to go, where you want to end up, whatever goals you might have, whatever you want to do for yourself, it might change. It might pivot. You don't want to be steadfast. You want to give yourself room for growth. You want to give yourself room for learning, room for expanding. But having an idea of like, okay, I like the way that sounds. I'm not sure. I've never tried it, but I think that's where I want to go. Or if you're super passionate about something, you like, I know I love the way that looks. I love doing that. I love working with those people. I love trying that stuff. That's what I want to do. The more clarity you have, the easier it's going to be to figure out the roadmap to get there. So we start with clarity. We figure out what makes you unique. What's your unique story? What are you bringing to the world? What are you presenting to the world? What do you have that's going to make people say, oh, that's interesting. Oh, I want to follow them. Oh, I like what they say. I like what they do. What's going to make you stand out from the thousands and millions of people who are putting out content every day? You are in competition with YouTube. You're in competition with Netflix. You're in competition with the movies. Anything that is basically fighting for somebody's attention, you are in competition with. And I only say that to say, make sure you remember that and hold that as a standard. Like, would I stop streaming for this? Would I stop playing my game for this? Would I stop listening to this song to go watch this YouTube video? If your content isn't resonating with people on that level to the point where they would stop Netflix, I'm going to stop watching one of my favorite shows because you dropped the video. Oh, you put out a new video on Instagram and I'm scrolling. Are they going to stop to watch that content? If you aren't able to make somebody stop with their content, then we have a problem, right? And we're going to get a lot more into content in just a second. But we had to figure out what made him unique, what was going to make him stand out on the timeline, right? We got clarity on his personal brand versus his business brand, because those are two separate entities and they're two separate things. But there is overlap and there's crossover and there's places where now, especially with collab features where you can post it on Instagram and it can be on both profiles, having clarity on what's going here, what are we doing with these two different marketing channels? These are two different marketing channels and you have to treat them as such. So this content over here for your business page needs to be working intentionally to bring you leads. This content over on your personal brand page needs to be working intentionally to grow your brand awareness, nurture your audience, build a relationship, and keep you top of mind for your audience, right? So we have to get clarity on what that looked like for both brands. If you only have one page, if you only have a personal brand, or if you only have a business, it's a lot easier because you're like, okay, all my time and energy is going in here. And let me just say, the more channels you're working on, the more channels you're building, the more your time, energy, and attention is going to be pulled in different directions. So if you can limit the amount of places that you are going to show up and deliver content, it becomes a lot easier to streamline that. So once we got clarity on his two distinct brands, we got clarity on what showing up on those different platforms look like. What is the content going to be? What is the purpose? Who is the audience that are going to be attracted to those different pages? Why are people going to follow this page versus this page? Why are people going to come here and not here? Understanding your audience, who they are, what they do, why they buy, what they're struggling with, what they're stressing about, having a very clear understanding of who that person is or who you want that person to be, who you intentionally are talking to, that is what's going to be able to take your skills and your ability to grow to the next level. For a lot of entrepreneurs, they'll be very generalized when it comes to their target audience or their ideal client. It's men. I help women lose weight. I have this product. Whoever wants to buy it, they can buy it. It's not clear enough. The more clear you're able to be with your content, with your messaging, with your targeting, and your overall product creation and business, the more you're going to be able to scale and make money because you're able to dial in and connect with them emotionally and create products that speak to them and they love and they rave about them. They tell all their friends and they want to promote it. Like you unlock another level of business that you really had no idea was possible. But you can't do that if you don't have a very, very clear understanding of who your target audience is. All right. So once we're able to get clarity, we're able to start getting the ball rolling, start getting momentum, right? Next, it became about the content, right? Fear of public speaking was the number one fear in the world. And when it comes to social media, that's essentially what you're doing. You're broadcasting yourself, your message, your life, your everything to the world, right? That's a lot to shift to go from consumer of content to producer of content and putting yourself out there for discourse and people to comment on and engage with. That's a really big shift. And for some people, it just comes naturally. It's like, oh yeah, that's no problem. But for other people, there is a lot more that goes into it, right? People are shy, they're anxious, but that shouldn't be something that stops you because there is a way for you to show up online, whether you like being on camera, whether you like talking, or whether you're creative, whether you're a writer, whether you do music, whatever way you prefer to create, whatever way you prefer to show up online, there is a way for you to grow, scale, and make money with that. It might take some creativity, it might take some ingenuity, but there is a way to do it. And it's just about, again, getting clarity on what that looks like for you, right? Once you have that clarity, then it's just about taking the steps. Start building up the confidence. You start learning how to talk on camera. You start figuring out how to create the content, what content you like to create, what content you don't want to create, what content works, how to make content work for you, how to use it in the bigger scheme of things, and how powerful one piece of content can be and what it can do for your brand, right? You start figuring out how to not just be a product or a victim of the algorithm, you start learning how to use it to grow your brand and get your content out there, right? And once you know how to maneuver it and how to use it to your advantage, you're able to consistently take any attention and awareness that you are able to build up with your platform and turn that into consistent revenue and income. And once you get to that point, it becomes fun because now you have the clarity on, okay, this is my message, this is my content, this is how I wanted to put it out. And this is what I hope the results are going to be. And if not, I know what to adjust or how to fix it moving forward, right? All right. So the third C is the cash flow. And this is, I don't know about you, but I like being able to make money living the life how I want to live. And that was my biggest goal. When I started on this journey, have the time freedom to wake up and not have to stress about work, not have to stress about bills. I get to wake up every day, go to the gym, meditate, and work on building my business. And I just enjoy the ability to do that. I know for a lot of people, you want to be able to leave your 9 to 5 and take care of your bills, take care of your family, go on trips, go on vacations. Once you get the first 2 C's in place, once you get the clarity and the content, there's going to be a switch. And I see it all the time with my clients. You hit a moment where you realize like, oh, I can do so many different things. I can make this work so many different ways. You just start having all these different ideas for different ways you can monetize. with Aaron, he was able to start selling more cakes, doing master classes, doing different events. He put together an event called Cupcakes and Cocktails, where you come out, you drink, you design cupcakes, learn about a little bit about baking design. Most recently, he has been going live on TikTok and battling people. I didn't even know this was a thing until he told me about it. He's going live on TikTok, battling people. You see him on there just cussing people out, yelling at people. People love watching him do it. He said the most he's made so far in 1 week was 2,500. And if he didn't have to slow down for other reasons, there's no telling where that would have went. But you just start to realize there are a bunch of different ways that you're able to make money with your business and your brand. And this isn't specific to any one niche or industry. Shout out to Elle. She's a credit specialist out in Houston. She was able to 18x her hourly rate. When we started working together, she was charging about $100 for a 60-minute call plus a credit consultation, little care package thing, right? She was able to turn that into making $1,800 an hour for a speaking engagement. Sean, he was able to publish his first book on Amazon. It's available right now, called Dreams Golden Quest. And he's launched his own teacher merch shop that is fully automated, doesn't have to touch any inventory, doesn't have to send it out. He can take care of his baby and let the money come in just from putting out the content, right? Jen, she was ready to shut down. She didn't know what to do. She wasn't getting clients. She wasn't getting any engagement or feedback on her content. She was very close to considering just shutting down and being done with all of it. I told her to give me 6 months. We worked together. She was not only able to get the clarity from the process, not only able to figure out the content, but now she's on track to hit her first 6-figure year. So proud to see her. She's killing it. This system works across different niches, across different industries. There's reviews, there's feedback. Not even all these people are clients. Some of these people are just people who were following my Instagram and consuming my content and like, hey, what you're doing, like just the stuff that you're putting out for free has been helping me get these different results, right? So I mentioned earlier that there was a hidden seed that you get from the clarity, the content, and the cash flow. And if you was paying attention, it kind of like was peppered in there. But it's the confidence. It's like riding a bike or driving a car. Once you get good, once you understand how it works and you kind of figure out like, I could do this now, I could do this little trick, or I could jump off the curb, or I could pop a wheelie. You start to get this confidence because you know, okay, I done figured out how all this works. I know how to identify audience. I know who my audience is. I know what kind of content to create. If I don't know what content to create, I know how to find out what content to create. I understand the system. I understand the program. I understand how this all works. Now, gloves are off. And watching people get to that point where they realize like, oh, I can literally do whatever. I can monetize however I want. If I'm willing to work at it, if I'm willing to do what needs to be done, I can literally make this work however I want it. And I don't mean that like exaggerated. However you want to do it, you can make it work. Because 9 times out of 9, there's somebody out there who's already figured it out and already making it work. And if they can make it work, you can make it work too. When it comes to Aaron, his transformation from being shy, being confused, not knowing what to do, he started putting out pieces. I'm just like, yo, where did that come? How did you even come up with that? He started getting to another level. He started going live every day, building up an audience, building up his community. He didn't have to feel like he was being salesy to make money. He didn't have to feel like he was being salesy when he put out his master classes or put out his events, because he knows this is for his audience. His content became second nature, and it allowed him to consistently show up and really build and establish this community and this trust with his audience. I'm really proud of the growth. He got my other clients, what they were able to do. If you are somebody who has the drive, if you are somebody who sees a better life for yourself, a better future for yourself, you know you have this creativity, you know you have this idea for a business or a brand, for content, you have something, and you just need to figure out how to package it. You need to figure out how to put it together and present it in a way people who I need to like it, the people who I want to like it, the people who I want to be interested in, they're going to be able to find it, they're going to gravitate to it, and they're going to keep coming back for it. If that's you, if that sounds like I might have hit a little nail on the head, I can help you build that system. I can help you figure it out, help you get that clarity. As I'm recording this, this is Aaron's current following. You can see together between Instagram, TikTok, he got less than 10,000 followers. I don't know exactly what it is, but these are just 2 of his profiles. Altogether, you see not a bunch of followers. He doesn't spend a bunch of money on ads. He doesn't have an editor. He doesn't have a team. He's not an influencer. You don't need that. You don't need the stuff that you think you might need. Okay, you just need a system. I got you on that. We know how to run the play. You need a guide. I got you on that. I'm not just going to give it to you like, hey, figure it out. And then you got to be willing to try. The biggest thing that's going to block you is you. That's going to be the biggest thing that holds you back. I could literally lay this out for you step by step, but if you aren't willing to take the steps, if you aren't willing to go on the journey, if you aren't willing to at least try, I can't do anything for you. So if you are ready to build a brand that prints cash, allows you to generate consistent income whenever you want because you understand it, you know how to use it. I can show you how to turn your skills, your talent, your passion, your creativity, take that and turn it into content and a brand that can generate consistent income without guessing, without being burnt out, without going viral. If you have a 9 to 5, if you have a family, if you don't want to be on camera, I got you. All right. I put together a system called Social Media Money, a very clear step-by-step process on how to turn your brand and your content into a monetization system from scratch or from wherever you're at. Inside the program, we're going to start off with an initial call just to kind of get a baseline of where you are, get some clarity. And then we're going to meet every other week. It's going to be up to you to schedule your calls. I'll send the reminders, of course, but you will be responsible for scheduling your calls. You're going to get a custom brand and content system, including strategies, including processes, including workflows that are built and created just for you. We're going to work on building and developing them together. We're going to make sure they work and they're doing exactly what you need them to do, and it's all good, right? You're going to get access to a Slack channel. So if you have a question about a piece of content, if you're not sure what to do, if you're not sure what to say, if you need a little pep talk, whatever, you will have a Slack channel to have access to me. And I usually get back to you within 4 to 6 hours, depending on time of day, whether I'm asleep or not. You're also going to get action plans. You're going to get funnels. You're going to get weekly check-ins. You're going to get templates. You're going to get guides. You're going to get resources. And then after the program, you're going to have a 3-month checkup where we will go to meeting once a month just to make sure everything's still working, all the systems and everything we talked about, all is still good, right? So we're going to create something custom for you and figure out how to execute it and get it done, right? By the end of the 16 weeks, when we're done working together, you should have a brand that people are interested in or will be wanting to invest some way, shape, or form down the line, right? You're going to understand how to create content, how to put out content, how to make sure that content is working and getting you results and doing what it needs to do. You're going to know what to post, where to post, when to post, why you posting there, complete clarity on your content and what it's doing. You're going to understand how to have sales conversations. How are you taking content, turning that into money, whether that's on a call, whether that's with a digital product, whether that's going live, selling a service. How are you making money and what does that process look like for you so that you can do it and execute it every single time, right? You're going to have a clear map of how you're monetizing, how you're making money. We're going to make sure we have a clear understanding. We're doing something that's going to make you consistent money. We're doing something that's going to have a high ticket. We're going to have a very clear ecosystem mapped out that's going to allow you to grow and scale to at minimum 6 figures. And most importantly, one of the most important things you're going to walk away with is the confidence to show up and do this, no matter what platform, where you decide to create content, what you decide to do, what brand you decide to grow, you're going to have the confidence to show up and do it because you're going to understand the system, the process, and everything that goes into it. I would assume if you're still watching, it's because you're interested in building a system that prints you cash, right? I mean, some people are cool with just posting and putting out content just because. I prefer to get paid for my work and what I do. If you don't, that's cool too. But if you don't have an audience, if you don't want to go viral, if you don't have the budget, if you don't have the team, if you are just completely unsure about where to start, you need a system, and you need clarity, and you need guidance that's built, tailored, and structured for you. And that's what we're here for. And if you're still just like really, really unsure, you just really don't know if this is for you, if you're tired of winging it, if you're tired of trying to figure it out, trying to duct tape stuff together, tried this, you tried going live, it didn't work, or you weren't comfortable with it, you tried this content, you don't know why it didn't work. I thought it worked for them, but it didn't work for me. Like, if you're just tired of trying to figure it out, if you know you're talented, you just need to know how to monetize it. You need to know how to put the system together and how to make it work for you. If you want structure, if you need support, if you need accountability, if you need strategy that's going to work, if you want to grow your brand without feeling cringy or worrying about what your family says or what your friends like, if you're ready to stop stressing and tired of all that, I got you. So down below, there's going to be a calendar. Choose a time for us to talk. Calls don't last more than like 30 minutes or so. Go down there. You're going to select the time that works for you, and then you're going to answer the questions that come up after. I look forward to seeing you on the call. Again, thank you for taking the time out to check this out. Have a great day.